Bit of rain tonight, so if your tent has a leak, you can always get some sticky tape from the retreat organizer. It's just part of the practice of staying out in the open, to deal with weather conditions, heat, cold, rain, wind. They say you haven't been on Tudong, this is as a monk, you haven't been on Tudong until you've been rained on all night long. So it hasn't been quite that bad yet. I was once on a mountain called Khao Chamao, which means the mountain of the drunk fisherman, I think, if you translate it. And I got there, put up my umbrella and my mosquito net next to the waterfall. They had a beautiful waterfall there, which was good, because I could get drinking water and bathe. I was just sitting down to meditate. It was about 7 in the evening. I thought, this is good, nice peaceful place, got a water supply, big forest, peaceful. And then the rain started. And it didn't stop until 5 a.m. So every last thing I owned got completely soaked. So 5 a.m. or after 5 a.m., 5:30, I got up, packed everything up because it's soaking wet. I thought I'd go out of the forest, find some kind of open space, a field or something, and dry everything out in the sun. So I had everything, all my robes in my bowl, my umbrella on my shoulder, and everything just packed around me, and I was carefully going across the waterfall. I was thinking, oh well, the rain has stopped, that's it, I'm not going to get wet again. And then I trod on a rock that was slippery, and I went flat on my back, and everything went into the water, including me. So just as you think it's over, you've got something else to contend with. Oh dear. We have an essay here. Maybe tomorrow we can write shorter questions, please. Hi Luang Po, thank you for kindly hosting the retreat and being generous in your time. My questions: 1, parents give the greatest gifts to children such that they can only pay them back with the gift of Dhamma. However, they can be also the greatest source of emotional triggers, traumas and wounds. For example, a glare from my mum for embarrassing myself and a look of disapproval in front of a group of people is enough to make me burst into tears once. And I don't know why. How should I then learn to overcome these emotional triggers, attachments, while still repaying my parents back with a heart of gratitude? It feels complex. Sounds complex. Yeah. Well, I think we've all had this sort of experience in one way or another. Maybe yours is worse than some, I don't know, but there's probably other people worse than you as well. This is what love does, isn't it? Parents love their children, so they want the best for their children, focused on their kids, bringing them up. Every little fault has got to be ironed out, squashed out, occasionally beaten out, scolded out, out of love. But sometimes love can be oppressive, controlling, too much. Probably love is better than neglect or hatred, but still love can bring these problems. So practicing the Dhamma, like you say, practicing the Dhamma and then encouraging your parents to practice the Dhamma, receive Dhamma, is the best way to repay. And I would say is also the best way to deal with these kind of emotional triggers, traumas, memories. Because when your heart becomes fuller with Dhamma, you get some goodness, some wisdom, some kindness, some generosity, mindfulness. Then you deal with the triggers and the traumas better. And you can see everything in its place, and you say, yeah, my mum or my dad have been a bit controlling on me or pushed me a few times. And you can see their role, but you can also see your own role. But I have my attachments, my sense of self, and sometimes they push the button and my self comes up. And this is what you have to look at in your practice. And you try to step back a bit and say, well, my parents are coming from a place of love. It may not be perfect love, because everyone has their defilements and their wrong thinking and their problems, but generally it's coming from love. And you just have to learn from this situation. If you can see faults in your parents, well, you may say, well, when I'm a parent, I'm going to try not to repeat them. But also think about all the good stuff, because that will balance up your mind, won't it? They've done so much good for you, I would imagine. This is why the Buddha said you really can't easily repay the debt you have to your parents, because they've given birth to you, they've given you life, they've brought you up, they give you language and knowledge and care and love and everything. Basically, you've come from your parents. I know each situation is different, but generally they've given you so much. We often forget that, and we get caught up into the more superficial things, the opinions of our parents. Why do they say this? Why do they think that? And they're going to be a different generation than you. So, of course, you'll have some different thoughts on life, on things, some differences of opinion which leads to arguments and misunderstandings. So just keep practicing the Dhamma, and as your mind becomes more aware and more calm, you should start to get some wisdom how to deal with this. As far as the past goes, we have to learn your lessons and then let go, don't you? You can't, there's no need to carry the past around with you. So yeah, maybe you had some traumatic experiences where your mum gave you the mum's eye. I mean, I had the mum's eye, the glare. You probably did, everyone else did. That's part of living with mums, isn't it? Just have to get used to it, get the right attitude. Don't take it too seriously. Forgive her. Try and get mum to practice the Dhamma, and you practice the Dhamma. Bring mum on retreat next time. Let's see what we can do for mum. That's all you can do, isn't it? You have to keep bringing up the compassion, the love for your parents, the forgiveness, the letting go, and then things will start to improve. You don't want your parents to die with you hating them or you angry with them. So you have to work on this. Clear it all up as quickly as you can. You think in Buddhism, the Buddha said, what are the 5 worst kinds of karma you can do in the world? 1 is try and kill a Buddha. 2, killing an arahant. 3, killing your mother. 4, killing your father. 5, splitting the Sangha. So that's on the same level as trying to kill a Buddha is killing your mum or your dad. So I don't think anyone here has killed their mum or dad, but trying to, or thinking of it, with anger, thinking anger against your parents is a very heavy karma, and it will block your Dhamma practice, your meditation, your work, your relationships. It will keep coming up, so you have to learn how to deal with this. If you do have a lot of trauma, bad memories, you're going to have to keep working on this to acknowledge what's happened, but then to find skillful ways to let go with mindfulness. If you keep holding on to anger towards the parents, it will cause you trouble. You don't have to like your parents or agree with everything they say or do, but you have to recognize the relationship, the special relationship you have with your parents, because they brought you into the world. You might find your mum annoying, say, many people do, but your mum carried you around in her womb for 9 months, gave birth to you. The day she gave birth to you is the day she almost dies. So that's an incredible sacrifice that you can't match. So you have to acknowledge that and be tolerant, even though you might not always agree with her. So I usually say with mums, there's only one answer. When mum says anything, there's one answer, simple answer. Yes, mum. It makes life easy. Yes, 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 yes. If you're Thai, ka, 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 ka. If you're Chinese, what's the word for yes in Chinese? Is there a word? What's the word? Su. Su, 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 su. Sinhalese, what's the word for yes? Fo. Oh. Whatever mum says, oh. Come here, oh. Go there, oh. Get this, oh. If you learn this trick, then life becomes easy. Question number 2. We're only just beginning here. Attachment to feelings and perceptions are hard to let go, especially unpleasant feeling. Yeah, agreed. And strong beliefs. What can we do to start letting go? Well, you seem to understand the problem already, somewhat. What did the Buddha say? Well, we cultivate the Noble Eightfold Path for letting go of suffering. What is the cause of suffering? Craving and attachment. So the Noble Eightfold Path is the remedy for craving and attachment and suffering. So we have to cultivate the Noble Eightfold Path from right view, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right mindfulness, right effort, right samadhi. The whole package is what we are using to learn to let go of our attachments which cause suffering. So say you've said feelings. Well, feelings, physical feeling, pleasant, unpleasant or painful, neither pleasant nor unpleasant, neutral. Emotional, mental feelings, pleasure and pain of the mind, like you were saying earlier, trauma. Traumatic memories bring you pain. That pain has a feeling, doesn't it? You might say, oh, I have all this trauma from my childhood, I'm just carrying it around. But is it always in your mind, that feeling, that unpleasant feeling about childhood experiences? It will come up for a while. When something triggers it, it will come up. It's there. And then it goes away, doesn't it? It's not there all the time. It's probably not here. You're not feeling it right now at this moment, my guess. I'm only guessing. You're not feeling that trauma, that pain right now. You'll feel it some other time when you're just on your own and memories come up and then you feel it. But right now you don't feel it. Now if you can be mindful and aware, my traumatic childhood memories come up, they're there in the mind and then they pass away again. And they may not come up for a long time. That means they're not there all the time. They're not a permanent state of affairs. That means they're not really you. They're, we say, conditions of mind that come through, that when the causes are there, the triggers are there, they come up. When the trigger's removed, they go down again, they fade away. You can use that to help you deal with them. They're impermanent, they don't last. That's just one method, contemplating or reflecting on the impermanent nature of feeling, pleasure and pain, physical and mental. What is impermanent, you don't need to grasp it as self. You can know it and just wait for it to pass, and often that's all you need to do. I know some pain is really strong and lasts a long time, it's hard work, but that's the nature of feeling, is it arises and ceases. So if you can know that, that's wisdom that will help you, free you from attachment, free you from suffering. And if you really apply a lot of mindfulness over and over again, eventually maybe even some of those memories won't trigger pain anymore, they'll just be a memory. Oh, it's just a memory. I know what happened, but it's over. I'm free of it. Gone. This is what we learn through our meditation. You might call that vipassana meditation, or the practice of mindfulness and wisdom, but it can be done. Next question. I started my Buddhist practice journey this year and started doing monastery stays. So far I have had a 50% likelihood of falling ill when visiting a monastery. Is this because of my bad karma ripening? I visited Wat Mapchan in October this year, my very first monastery stay, and I had a terrible body rash. This time I was down with fever. What should I do to not fall sick at a monastery again? Well, there's a few things here. If you live in Singapore and you're traveling overseas to a monastery, you and other people may be picking up germs on your trip, viruses, exposure to other people's diseases, and you're tired when you travel. So it's not unusual to get sick when you travel. I go to Wat Mapchan, and when I come back here, I do get sick as well. I usually get sick when I come back, not when I'm there. I'm usually strong the first period of the travel, and then I come back and then I get sick. So you're not the only one. We get fevers and diarrhea and rashes. You stay in a forest that you're not used to. There's all kinds of leaves and bugs and stuff that you get rashes from. I got a rash the other day. We were clearing the forest and I just touched some vine creeper on a tree, and then I got this big red rash on my skin. Only lasted a couple of days. But that's what it's like in the forest, unfortunately. There's a few things around that cause itching. Sometimes you get a bite, sometimes you get a leaf or a plant does it. So you have to be a bit patient with all that. My traumatic memories of the first 5 years of being a monk in northeast Thailand is I was ill all the time. If it wasn't one thing, it's another. All kinds of fevers that I couldn't even describe. What's the name of this fever? I'd always be saying, what fever have I got? Is this malaria, typhus, flu? What is this? No one could give me a name. Even the doctor couldn't say. They just said fever. You live in the forest, you get fever. Oh, okay. Some of those fevers knock you on your back for 7 days. You just feel like you're glued to the floor. And it's miserable because the floor is just wood and you're just on a thin straw mat, no cushion, no mattress. And you're glued to the floor, and you get up and you're dizzy, hot, weak, can't eat, maybe diarrhea as well, headaches, and you think maybe you'll die. And then one day it just disappears, and you don't even know what you had. Sometimes, if you're lucky, they would come. I'm sure these days it's a bit better. Things have improved, but sometimes they bring you this little clear plastic bag with some yellow pills in. You go, what are these? And they go, they're pills for fever. Well, if you don't know what the fever is, how do you know that these are the pills that are going to work for that fever? Shut up and don't make trouble. Sometimes you just don't take the pills because you don't even have confidence that they're the right thing. Sometimes you try them and nothing works. So that was my experience. And diarrhea all the time. Got dysentery, diarrhea, stomach ache, to the point I just thought, oh, this is the rest of my life. I'm just going to be like this. got so skinny. When my brother came to visit, he went up behind me because we have an open shoulder, and he stuck his finger in my back because there was this big hole under my shoulder blade because I'd lost all the flesh. I was so skinny. He said, "What's this hole?" He could put his whole finger in. I said, "I don't know, I've never seen it. It's behind me," and there wasn't any mirrors in the monastery. So I said, "I don't know." And he said, "Well, you used to be quite fat." Cause my body type, I guess, I'm always quite on the chubby side. And then I went really skinny to about 60 kilograms. And I said, well, I just diarrheaed it all out. I've spent all the time in the toilet. So, yeah, monasteries do bring up old, I guess you could say it's old karma. You get sometimes illnesses, rashes, diseases come up. Sometimes it's obvious, you're just meeting people you haven't met before, so you maybe get germs you haven't encountered and get ill, or you're eating food from other kitchens, so you're not used to, if you eat food as a monk, you're always, not always, but you regularly do get stomach things, because you're eating food from people's kitchens and they have different germs in their kitchen. They're used to their germs, but you're not, and you're at a disadvantage as a monk. So, generally it's okay, but you will encounter things that maybe make you ill. Then there's a stress-related illnesses. If you're going to a monastery and you're new to Buddhism, or I'm going to stay in a monastery, you get stressed, don't you? Worry. Oh, is my tent going to blow away? Oh, will I be able to eat the food? How am I going to cope? And you're traveling, and you're meeting new people. There's so many factors that could make you ill. You just have to be very patient with it. My suggestion is if you keep practicing, most of these problems will start to fade out. You'll get a bit stronger in your immune system, your body will improve. You get more used to the conditions, you'll know what you need to do to stay healthy. You'll learn. And then you might actually be more healthy than the average person, because you live in a monastery or this kind of lifestyle, you actually often become quite strong because you become adaptable, less stress, less worry. Often you do quite well. But it takes time. You have to keep practicing. So don't worry about it. If you're genuinely ill, well, see a doctor, of course. But, often they're not very serious illnesses. They're just little glitches. And I knew one lady, she said, I want to become a Buddhist nun, so she got ordained as an 8-precept nun, shaved her head, and the first day in the monastery she said, I'm going to meditate a lot, I want to really progress in my practice. And she had an allergic reaction to something in the monastery, and her whole face came out in boils. And she looked like a monster from a movie. It's like, wow, what happened? In one day it just all came up. For 3 months, she just had this massive boils, and then they became pussy, they were very painful, they looked awful, she felt awful. She stuck with it for 3 months, and 3 months she went home and it all disappeared again. And she said, what happened? Maybe, sometimes there is karma, old karma, and she meditated and she had this very clear vision towards the end of her stay in the monastery that in maybe in a previous life, she'd be angry. When she was angry, she picked up her Buddha statue and smashed it because she's so angry. Not with the Buddha, she's angry with something else, but she took it out on her Buddha statue and the head broke. And she believed that all these boils and horrible pussy boils on her face that came up so strongly were the karma of breaking a Buddha statue, which is an object of worship, respect. So maybe if you can fix your issues with your mum and dad, develop a lot of patience, metta, compassion for your parents, maybe your health will improve. That's my prediction. Let's see if it's true.ภาษาไทยขอกราบพระอาจารย์เรื่องกับอะไรกับชาติ What is it in English? We guy อันนี้ชาติอะไรพบชาติพบกับชาติ Okay. So, question in Thai, I'll answer in Thai and then in English. พบกับชาติก็ชาติก็คือเกิดพบก็คือภาวะที่จะเกิดที่อยู่ของจิตตอนนี้เราอยู่ในกามภพคือเรามีตามีหูมีจมูกมีลิ้นมีกายสัมผัสกับอารมณ์กามอารมณ์ได้ก็อยู่ในกามภพเราอยู่ในกามภพเพราะเราชอบกามภพชอบดูชอบฟังมีความอยากได้ตรงนี้เขาเรียกกามตัณหาชาติที่แล้วตายไปกามตัณหาอย่างปรุงแต่งจิตเกิดอุปทานเกิดภพเกิดชาติก็เลยเกิดมามีบุญบ้างก็เลยเกิดมาเป็นมนุษย์แต่เราเกิดมาเพราะเราอยากสวยกามภพอยากเห็นรูปสวยอยากได้ยินเสียงไพเราะอย่างนี้เป็นต้นกามภพสวรรค์ยังอยู่ในกามภพนรกเปรตอสุรกายยังอยู่ในกามภพที่ทำบาปก็เลยต้องเสวยความทุกข์ในภพที่ดำก็เรียกอบายภูมิสัตว์เดรัจฉานก็อยู่ในกามภพรูปภพกับพรหมฝึกฌานจงละกามชั่วคราวได้ตายไปก็เกิดในรูปภพหรืออรูปภพฝึกอรูปฌานสิ่งที่อยู่นอกจากภพคืออะไรก็คือนิพพานไม่มีเกิดไม่มีดับไม่มีภพชาติไม่ต้องทุกข์อีกเราก็เลยมุ่งพระนิพพานเราก็เลยต้องตัดกระแสความตัณหาอุปทานภพชาติด้วยฝึกสติเจริญมรรคฝึกสติฝึกปัญญาจะได้ตัดกระแสกามตัณหาภาวตัณหาวิภวตัณหาแม้แต่ความยึดในรูปภพอรูปภพฝึกฌานแล้วก็ยึดในฌานแล้วก็ต้องละด้วยต้องเห็นโทษจะละภพได้ยังไงต้องเห็นโทษของความเกิดเพราะถ้าเกิดแล้วก็ต้องมีความแก่ความเจ็บความตายพรหมก็ยังตายไม่ได้อยู่ในพรหมโลกตลอดนิรันดรตายจากพรหมโลกอาจจะกลับมาเป็นมนุษย์ก็ได้หรืออาจจะตกต่ำกว่ามนุษย์ก็ได้ไม่แน่ยังมีการเวียนว่ายตายเกิดแต่นิพพานไม่มีการเวียนว่ายตายเกิดวิพานเป็นอมตะนิพพานเป็นอมตะไม่เกิดไม่ตายดีกว่าสูงกว่า It's a question about becoming and birth, bhava and jati. So we've talked a little bit about dependent origination, this cycle of dependent origination that the Buddha taught, explaining how suffering arises. And we say, based on feeling, vedana, pleasant, unpleasant, neutral, craving arises. When we're not mindful, not aware, craving will be stimulated by feeling. So we like pleasant feeling, we dislike painful feeling. In all its varieties, there's so many different ways feeling arises, but we don't like pain, we do like pleasure. With craving arising, then clinging or attachment arises dependent on craving, upadana. We cling to our views and we cling to the sense of self, cling to everything around this pleasure and pain that we crave and react to with craving. We form clinging, and then clinging is the basis for becoming who you are, basically. And that's internal in the mind. So you may be on the outside, you're experiencing the fruits of past karma, you're born as a human, but your mind may be the mind of a human, or it may be lower than a human. Could be more animal in your behavior, or your sense of becoming. You could be higher, you could be a deva or a brahma inside, even though your body is a human. So pop or bhava, becoming, is only partially represented in the way you are on the outside. It's also the level of the mind or the experience of the mind, and it will determine your behavior, won't it? So if you have the mind of a Brahma, you've developed jhana, you're going to behave differently from someone who has the mind of an animal, or a hell realm being, or a ghost. Human being we call manusa. There's qualities that define a human really are the 5 precepts, panchasila. A good human being, a true human being doesn't kill, doesn't steal, doesn't harm others, doesn't destroy their own goodness. They preserve their goodness. That's the good side of being a human. Still within the realm of the sensual sphere, we can see and hear, we're sensual beings, and that's where a lot of our trouble comes from, because we keep reacting with craving to what we see and hear and so on. But we can also practice, develop good qualities, be a good human being. Or we may go higher. Maybe you develop the karma to be reborn in a heaven realm. Your next bhava, your next birth. But of course, Nibbana is out of this whole cycle. Nibbana is neither birth nor death. Seeing the impermanent nature of all spheres of existence, whether it's heaven realm, human realm, animal realm, ghost realm. Seeing, this is suffering. To be born and dying endlessly is suffering. You keep exposing yourself to suffering. So the one who reaches Nibbana, they've cut the ties to the world. They've cut craving, cut clinging, cut becoming. No longer born again. The Arahant. Dear Ajahn, many thanks for your time and guidance. During meditation, I often hear intrusive thoughts, or have intrusive thoughts, or wandering thoughts. For example, worries about loved ones who have ill health, or the uncertain future. I start with metta meditation to loved ones, then move into the breath. Is this the correct method? Could be, if it's worked for you so far, that's a good start. But of course you also have to develop some wisdom, some insight. Metta has to be balanced with wisdom. Metta alone won't necessarily purify your mind of wrong views and attachments yet. It can even increase your attachment. You love your family and you spread metta and think of your family with kindness. You get more and more attached to them. Suffering. So metta has to be practiced with wisdom. You spread metta, you're kind to your family, you have loved ones, you're kind to them, care about them, but you also know that one day you must separate through death. You won't be together forever. And even before you separate through death, your loved ones may get sick. That's what happens to human beings. We get ill, as we've been discussing. We get ill, we have problems, we have accidents, we have issues at work, all kinds of stuff, as we know. So if you love someone and they have their problems, their pain, their issues, then you tend to start feeling that as well, don't you? Because you're attached. So you need the wisdom to separate some of this out by understanding karma. So metta should be practiced together with upekkha, which is wisdom in action, understanding karma. That everyone has their karma, makes karma, receives the fruits of their karma. So your loved one still makes karma, and your loved one may make some bad karma, or they may have made some bad karma last life. And so sometimes things happen to your loved ones that you don't want to happen. There's nothing you can do. You can care for them and help them through their problems, but maybe you can't stop the problems happening. Sometimes it happens before your very eyes. You don't have to see last life. It's just your loved one does something foolish or careless or harmful. People make mistakes. So you have your metta, but then you have suffering because you love them and now they're suffering. So you practice metta, karuna, compassion, wishing them to be free from suffering. If they do get free from suffering, mudita, you help them to keep being free from suffering, stay out of trouble, be successful, happy, you want that. But you also need the upekkha to know, I have karma and I must receive the fruits of my karma. They have karma, they have to receive the fruits of their karma. And sometimes you just have to be with that and accept it, because there's nothing you can do. They get ill, they have accidents, things go wrong, and you just have to accept that and not let your mind be dragged down by the suffering of your loved one, because that won't help your loved one, it doesn't help you. And this is the hard part. The worry, the fears, the anxieties, even the anger. You know, if someone hurts your loved one, you get angry with that person. But it doesn't help you, and it doesn't help your loved one or the person. Where's that anger coming from? It's coming from attachment. You love, but without the wisdom that understands karma, impermanence, not self. You know, karma is not self. It's not that there's someone up there saying, you suffer, you're happy, you're unhappy, controlling it all. It's not like there's this big person sort of controlling everyone like little little figures on a board or something. It's action. Karma is action and result, and we do it to ourselves. So sometimes we make bad karma and we have to suffer for it. So if you're helping someone, you want to be in the best state of mind to help them and be with them. You want to be with the Dhamma, so your mind is calm, mindful, equanimous, balanced, as you deal with the suffering of your loved one. If you're suffering too suffering only makes more suffering in the world, doesn't it? They're suffering and now you're suffering. Maybe you can't do anything because you're panicking and suffering too much. What do I do? My child is ill. What do I do? What do I do? You're going to make it worse, aren't you? You've got to stay very calm, use wisdom to try and solve your suffering and see where your metta may be leading to attachment. And you have to change that a bit, modify your metta. So you love, but you also have to accept they have their own karma. It's a tricky one, not easy. Second question, can I swap in between metta and the breath and back to metta when the mind worries again? That's going to get tiring. Breathe in, breathe out, worry, oh, metta. Oh, worry gone, okay. Breathe in, breathe out, worry, oh, metta. A lot of work there. And generally speaking, yes, sometimes you'll need metta to deal with the worries, sometimes. And metta is particularly used for anger, obviously, anger, ill will, annoyance, irritation. You may find that you can do two things in one, because if your mind is with the breath, you're not going to get angry. You're not going to get worried when you're with the breath. So maybe the metta will come naturally as you put more effort into your breath meditation. You have more self-control, you have a better ability to be with the breath and know the breath. Maybe you don't need to consciously go to metta so much, because you'll already have metta when you're with the breathing, doing that meditation. Ill will, the opposite of metta, is one of the 5 hindrances. So if you're using the breath meditation to overcome all 5 hindrances, you will have metta. Just because it doesn't have the word metta in the title Anapanasati doesn't mean to say you won't have metta. You can overcome many different unwholesome states of mind using Anapanasati. So what many practitioners do is they develop their one object, Buddhanusati, Buddho, Buddho, or Anapanasati, breathe in, breathe out. When they're more skilled and more calm, more used to calming their mind with that object, they have some samadhi, then they can use the samadhi to apply and develop metta to someone else. But there may be times when you have strong anger and you can't develop your anapanasati. So you have no choice but to put a lot of effort into metta on those occasions. So if you fall out with someone, you can't go to the breath because you just think of that person and you're angry with them. When it's really strong anger, you try and watch the breath and all you can see is the face of the person you hate. When you have strong anger, you can't sleep at night. You just keep thinking of them. You want to get them. Or it may not be another person, it may be yourself, or it may just be anger with some injustice or some misfortune, something bad in your life has happened. You made a mistake, or something terrible has happened. You just keep thinking of it and getting upset, getting angry. Doesn't matter. If it's strong, you may not be able to stay with the breath for more than 1 second. It's just too difficult. So then maybe you have to really work on the metta. So what did the Buddha say? You have to find a way in to bring up a slightly better feeling and a better thought in your mind. So I think there's the story of the monk getting the piece of cloth. Traditionally our robes, when in the old days we weren't lucky and have nice cloth like you offer these days. In the old days monks got their robes from going around collecting scrap cloth and then sewing it together. Very hard, long, a lot of work involved. So monks started to get really good at looking as they walk around the countryside on the alms round, they might notice a bit of cloth. Sometimes you'll see a little bit of cloth in the mud in the road. They'd see that and they go, oh, can use this. I've been with monks and they've seen a foot rag. And they say, I can use that for a patch. In the old days, not so much now, in the old days that cloth was hard to come by, even in my lifetime. And you're in a very poor place and you need a patch but you've got nothing. So you see a rag, foot wiping rag. People wipe their feet on. They say, I can use this. And it's a rag that nobody wants now. So they take it and they wash it and clean it. So the Buddha said you can do that. If a monk's got a sharp eye, he can find a piece of rag in the mud, pick it up, take it back, scrub it, wash it, and make something useful out of it. You have to do that with metta. You have this person you're angry with, your mum, or this person, your boss, your friend, ex-friend, your ex. Nowadays everyone uses the word ex. So your ex is like a dirty rag. Not because you don't like dirty rags, so you call your ex a dirty rag. No. It's not a term of abuse. It's a simile, it's a way of thinking, a dirty rag can even be made to patch a robe. But you have to work on it. You have to see the value in it, clean it up, and that's a whole process. Like when you're a poor monk, you don't have a washing machine, detergents, you don't go to the supermarket and buy all the stuff for cleaning cloth. You have a rock, you have a stream, a muddy stream, you have a rock, you have the sun. So you go to the muddy stream and you get your rock and you go, you scrape the dirt off with a rock, you pound it, then you put it out in the sun and the sun bleaches the cloth, and then you do it again. It's hard work, but the simile is your mind is the same. You're angry with this person or this thing that's happened that shouldn't have happened, or this person that's hurt you. Now you have to find the goodness in that person, the value of that person as a human being, even though you hate them. How can I bring my mind to see something good in this person? Just like the bit of muddy cloth. Get to the point, you don't have to like them, like a piece of muddy cloth, you're never going to like it because it's always second-hand dirty cloth, but you clean it up and use it, you can use it even though you don't like it. A person, you're never going to like them because maybe they have bad characteristics, maybe they have many bad characteristics, maybe they've hurt you, they've hurt others. So you don't expect to really like them or love them, but you can get to the point where you can think of them as a human being, same as you. They want to be happy, same as you. And you don't have to hold on to anger to them. You just wish them well, may they be successful. You don't have to have much to do with them, but you're not going to be angry with them. That's your goal. So you have to work in it, just like cleaning that cloth to patch your robe. You have to clean up your mind of anger so that you can look at that person as a human being rather than wanting to throttle them or whatever your anger makes you want to do. So it's hard work, this dealing with anger. So it takes wisdom, takes effort. So sometimes, you do have to set aside all other meditation and just work on the metta until you've established that. Then you can go back to the breath or some other practice. Tends to be how it works, I think. Dear Luang Po, thank you for the retreat. When the mind is relatively still, it's still or it's not. Relatively still. Sometimes I can sense the mind wanting to both be still, but also a challenge that wants to create, whether in thought or other ways. What would you recommend to assist in staying with the stillness? Mindfulness, effort, appreciating the role of stillness. So awareness, some wisdom and clear comprehension, saying, the mind is becoming still, I better look after this, like a precious thing. Don't give it away that easily. How do we give it away? We get distracted by something, a thought, and then we've forgotten our meditation object and off we go. And people can do that even you're just on the cusp, on the edge of samadhi. And then some little memory pops up into your mind and gone. Your mind can change that quick and that easily. Very frustrating training this mind. It's so shakeable, like you say, it's relatively still. There's stillness there, you can feel body and mind very calm, some piti, sukha, you're content, you're happy, You're just becoming more focused on the breath, for example. The thoughts are becoming less and less of a problem. Just getting there to one-pointedness, and then something pops into your mind and gone. That's because sensual desire, one of the 5 hindrances, is the last one to be abandoned. So there's always a chance a visual image, say, could pop into your mind and just distract you. But it could be one of the other hindrances, could be a doubt. This seems to be a common one, isn't it? People say, oh, I'm just getting peaceful, and then the thought comes up, what do I do next? I've never had that problem, actually. If you're just getting peaceful, just keep going. You don't have to think, what do I do next? But the mind is like this. It can throw up some strange random thought, catch you off guard. Sometimes it's fear, it's anxiety. Oh, I've never felt this before. I'm so peaceful, I can't feel my body. There's the one, am I just going to float away and never come back? In the history of meditation, I don't think anyone ever floated away and didn't come back. And that's millions of meditators. But still we think it, don't we? People are worried they're going to float away and never come back. And all kinds of other doubts. Sometimes it's fear that you'll see something. Will I see a ghost or see something? It can all pop up just as your mind is very peaceful. Probably the most disturbing one, and quite common, is some form of lust. Because when you're peaceful, you're calm, you feel good. But, when the human beings usually feel good before and after sexual activity. So unfortunately, it often, in the beginning of meditation, when your wisdom and your understanding is not strong, you become peaceful, and then you have a lustful thought. Sometimes it comes together, very tricky. That's why we have to do some body contemplation, contemplate impermanence, be very careful, restrained as well. But sensual desire will pop up right up until the point where your mind becomes one-pointed on its object. So you have to work hard at this and value it. So if you are becoming still, keep going, keep putting effort in, don't give up. It can be tiring, mentally tiring, because you're putting effort in. So sometimes you go, oh. You're peaceful, but then you feel tired and sort of give up. So that endless different obstacles will come in. You just have to keep working through them. Think of the Buddha. Did the Buddha, just about to get enlightened under the Bodhi tree, did he give up and go, I'll start again tomorrow? He didn't do that, did he? He said, I'm going to keep going. The Buddha had determination. We say, viriyena dukkha maccheti. Dukkha, suffering, is overcome by effort. Virya means heroic effort. We have to build up some of this, some confidence, some effort, and keep going. I know it's not always easy, mind is easily distracted, but we have to start doing this. So sometimes you make determinations, adhitthana, adhishatthana. I'm going to sit here for my full hour. If the bell hasn't gone, I'm not getting up. I'm going to stick with it, however distracted my mind is, whatever the pain, whatever the distraction. I'm not going to quit. If you're walking, you see people doing their walking meditation, 5 minutes up and down, good, up and down, and then, oh, what's that over there? Oh, there's a kangaroo. Oh, let's go. 5 minutes? I'm not going to get enlightened in 5 minutes. Imagine the Buddha's under the Bodhi tree. Kangaroo, oh, let's go. You have no Buddhism. Don't give in so easily. It's just a bit of desire. You don't need to find out about kangaroos. You don't need to think about what they're cooking in the kitchen tomorrow. You don't have to do all this. Just keep letting go, let go, let go, let go, let go, and just stay with your object as much as you can. Practice. That's why we call it practice. I know it's hard. I have the same problem. You have the problem. Everyone has the problem. Just keep going. Dear Ajahn, nowadays I have people around me suffering from mental health badly. How could I support them? Well, yeah, it's a tricky one. Number one, look after your own mental health. There's no way you can support others if your mental health goes down, then you're not going to be able to help others, are you? So you have to look after yourself first. Make your mind strong in the four Brahmaviharas is a good way to go. Metta, goodwill, karuna, compassion, mudita, sympathetic joy, upekkha. It's the hard one. So if people are mentally ill around you, or you're working with them, or they're a relative or something, you have to maintain this upekkha, because they'll, quite possibly your closeness to them will drag your mind down. Even if you don't become mentally ill yourself, you may become depressed, sad, fed up because of working with people or being with people who are very depressed themselves. So it is hard work. You have to know how to limit your interaction, how to get some space, some rest for yourself, look after yourself, so that then you can help the others. And depending on the situation, you have to think about this, get the balance, and it's not necessarily wrong to take time off from helping or being with someone who's mentally ill, if that's what's needed for yourself, like doing a retreat. So if you take time off to look after yourself, then you'll be in a better place later to go back and help. You can't just give. You burn out, you run out of energy, and maybe you become ill or run down yourself. So you have to balance helping others, whether it's physical illness, mental illness. You have to have some boundaries for yourself to preserve yourself as you're helping others. And just reflect on karma and see what you can do to support them. There'll be skillful people as well who can help them, psychiatrists, counsellors, doctors and so on. So get them to them, those people as well. Maybe you're giving more just emotional support. You do what you can. The world is full of people suffering. We're all suffering, some worse than others. So you do what you can, but you can't solve everybody's suffering. So you have to know your limit. There's quite a lot of questions today. Maybe the last one for tonight, because there's so many. Ajahn, can meditation alleviate insomnia symptoms? I feel it does for me, but I often fail too. So please advise. Insomnia, I'm not an expert, but one common cause of insomnia is mental suffering, isn't it? Anxiety, worry, fear, anger keeps you awake at night. Anxious about work, family, all the usual things, money, health, friends, relations, all kinds of stuff keeps you awake because you're worrying about it, thinking about it. And especially over a long period, if you consistently experiencing anxiety, then it will affect your body, and you get changes in your body, you get tension and hormones and illness even from anxiety, worry. So insomnia might be one symptom of that. So I definitely would recommend meditating before you go to bed, in that period up to when you go to sleep at night, when you wake up in the morning, or when you wake up in the middle of the night. Have a meditation object of one sort or another that you find helpful, that you can turn to. Even if you're lying in bed, you can cultivate metta, or you can recite Buddha, or you can follow the breath going in and out. And then hopefully that will calm your mind, and if you do that regularly, then your mind is more relaxed, more calm, you might sleep more easily, or at least have less stress. So metta is a very good meditation to do before you go to bed. Relaxes us, develops this positive feeling towards ourselves and then towards others. So meditation can definitely help. Also, remembering and reflecting on good things makes you feel better. So think about some of the things, the good things that have happened to you in your life, the good opportunities you've had, the good things that you do have. And sometimes you think of other people in the same way. Think of people that you find inspiring, people you've seen doing good. When you reflect like this, you bring these things up to mind, you feel good, you feel more relaxed, you feel happy, and that may help you to sleep. Nowadays everyone has a mobile phone, so they're like a double-edged sword. So some people can't stop themselves looking at stuff, music, movies, this and that. That can overstimulate us, so be careful there. If you need to, just turn it off long before you go to sleep at night. But another thing people do is when they listen to Dhamma, because they can't sleep, they turn the Dhamma on, then they fall asleep. Which is a good reflection for all Dhamma teachers everywhere. So I know people are now using me for sleep therapy. If it works, okay, go for it. So that does help maybe. Anything Dhamma related can help you to relax. Lifestyle as well. Yeah, there's other things that we have to look at. If you have insomnia, people have lots of addictions that you may need to address. So sometimes when I was a teenager, I used to have a cup of coffee before I went to sleep. Don't know why. That's not a good idea if you're having insomnia. Don't take stimulants before you go to sleep. Don't do things that overstimulate you. Don't eat. Don't, look at your lifestyle where you need to change things. If there's someone you live with you're always getting angry with and arguing with, well, don't have an argument just before you go into bed. You won't be able to sleep. Keep thinking about what you should have said or what they said. These kind of lifestyle things you need to look at as well. But meditation can help for sure. Second question, how to rewind an overly analytical mind? Often I find my mind is analysing things instead of investigating the root cause. Well, number one, try to establish mindfulness. So back to meditation again. Things like the breath, Buddha, any meditation or mindfulness method that you found works for you. That's a really good starting point, because as you bring up the mindfulness, you start to be more aware. You still will maybe have lots of thoughts and habits of mind. You analyse, always trying to think, sort it out. But as you become mindfully aware, you can see what you're doing, and maybe you can start to see some of the harm or the suffering of it. So if you're endlessly analysing, or if you're more mindful, you can see what you're doing, and you can point out to yourself, is this actually leading anywhere, this analysis? Am I just endlessly thinking with no real purpose? Is it resolving anything? Is it making me wiser? Is it making me more peaceful? Or is it just endless thinking that's stirring me up, going nowhere, keeping me awake? Try to establish mindfulness first in every situation. It won't necessarily give you the answer, but it gives you the means to get the answers. Because once you're more mindful, you're paying attention to body, mind, you learn things naturally because you're paying attention, you're aware. So if you are over-analysing problems, and that's a habit, you'll see that, you'll notice that. Then you might have to find some techniques, wisdom techniques, to help with the mindfulness, introduce them to teach you how to let go of a certain habit of mind, to analyse less. So calming the mind is very helpful. The breath is always a good one to use if you're thinking too much or staying awake because you're thinking too much. Go to the breath as much as you can. Sometimes walking helps. Go for a walk. Even late at night, a bit of walking meditation. You can stay in a room to do it. You don't have to leave your home or wherever you live. But you can do walking back and forth. Just to get a little bit of rhythm of mindful walking going. See if that helps. And then reflect, this anxiety or analytical mind of mine, where does it lead me? How long does it last? If now you're more mindful, you're paying attention, you see a habit, I'm analysing this problem coming up, got to sort this, do this. How long is it going to last? Glance at your clock, okay, now I'm watching this habit. Is it going to last 5 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour? And just keep bringing up the mindfulness as you may at first can't stop your mind analysing things and overthinking stuff, but you can now be mindful that that's what you're doing. You just accept, this is my habit, okay. So you're watching, and then you ask yourself, when's it going to change? And it will. If it's at night, well, maybe it'll change, you'll fall asleep. And you become aware, I'm falling asleep, and then you let go. Or if you're not falling asleep, it's the middle of the day or something, you can watch and you say, when is this going to end? And now it has ended, and your mind maybe moves on to something totally different. The mood changes, and if you're mindful enough, you can catch that. And you say, that period of analysing is now finished. It's impermanent. It was just one object of mind for a while, now it's finished. And you can see that, and that will give you some insight that you can apply in the future. It's impermanent. If something's impermanent, that means it's not always there, it's not always something you have to follow. You gain some strength of mind from your insight. You can let go more and more easily. So I think that's probably enough for tonight. Still more to come. We can answer them tomorrow.